Hi guys, how you doing? Okay, on the last episode of Scrap Mechanic, we had we had the droids fighting each other, and they were all sort of boxing based. And a few people says, look, why don't you mix it up? Why don't you give us more wheel-based machines, better weapons, some flippers, some grinders? So today we're going to do all of that, and we've greatly improved their fighting ability and therefore the interest in them, and sort of developed some new wheelbases as well. I was experimenting with like this one, which is like a cruciform, the yellow one, and then the limey one has strange legs that spin out when it needs to turn to the right or left. Axles spin out, and the effect was quite surprising. Got a lot of really good fights, a lot of really good action, and we'll cover quite a lot of it here. Now, what I wanted to look at was to see if there was any improvement over the other ones, which were strictly the boxing types. So I went over to that map and I quickly built a hybrid version of the two you've just seen. One with a high up flipper, because that seemed very effective, and also with the cruciform style axles, because they seem very effective as well. And I put it up against the Mantis, which was the punching one, or one of the main punching ones, and it was just an instantaneous win. He just knocked it about all over the place, didn't stand a chance. So that was quite comical. As you can see, he's not very happy about that. Yeah, so the flippers are very good, but I think I expected that. I haven't seen BattleBots and Robot Wars so many times. Flippers are always good. So the idea was that to get them flippers in, and then also bring in some more like really super violent type weapons, flails, which we'll see later on in a big glass robot that I'm about to build. But even this one, he kicks him over that short wall there and then tries to go over the wall to get to him. Really keen. So it's really good. Okay, so the Parrot, the big heavy unicycle, was too much for him, yeah, because just the sheer bulk. But that gave me an idea. I thought, okay, well, I'll go back to the other map and I will build a large unicycle type machine, but this time I will give it superior weapons and superior guidance as well. So as you can see already, they're having quite a lot of fun, the three of them, but the big machine is really knocking the crap out of them. And I haven't put in the extra sensor system yet, just the punching system. And it's basically two high spinning flails that are powered by those engines at the back, so it really does have a lot of power. And it can literally flick a machine right up into the air and right out of the park. So again, this was it without its side sensors really rotating like the sweep style sensors. But someone asked me to do a tutorial on how to do the balancing. So I've done two tutorials as per requested. One about, look at that, just knocks them all over the place. Nice weapons, I like that one. One is about the balance, as you see there, and another one is regarding a bot that's about to come up. It's a small glass bot that I made with 3 sweep sensors on it rather than the normal 2. Here it is, there's one here. So it's got a forward and 2 side sweep sensors, and it's really aware and it moves really, really well. Its axles are fixed. There's no weapons on it, and yet it was still able to beat some of the bots here just by ramming them and moving the head. But it moves really well, and that's what the next generation of droids that I'm going to make are going to be based on. They're going to be based on this little guy here. It's a really solid base, it works really well, and it turns on a dime or a sixpence depending on what country you come from. There you go, big fella is spinning his flails about and just generally being a bully. Now he was so effective, the big guy, that he was often able to pick them up and either chuck them away or walk off with them, and as in this case you can see here. I'm not sure if my frames per second is taking a bit of a hit here, but that was incredible. I had to go and break them up. I had to get my robot back off him because he's about to throw it away. And again, one time he catches, like there, he got it in a real death grip there, wouldn't let go at all. The other one's trying to beat him up from behind but getting nowhere. So it's a big powerful beast. But this was the best one here. He got a hold of his snout, his proboscis, or whatever you want to call it, and it just led him in circles for ages. So he's got him by the nose there. That's really funny, I can't believe it. So there's a really good weapon system. I'm going to develop that one up as well. I really do like that. And again, that's just powered by those 2 electric engines on the back. So lots to learn there. The next most powerful one was that lime and red coloured one with the high level kicker on it, because it seemed very stable and delivered a very, very fast punch. And so a couple of times it was almost able to take the big guy out, but never quite. Those self-stabilizing systems in it, it saved it every time, you know. But they are provided by a glitch, so I'm really trying to get as much vanilla into my droids now as possible. But it's great fun watching them knock crap out of each other and the jinx that they get up to, especially when you put 4 in. So we're going to drop in the little glass box jellyfish type character into here, and we'll have the 4 of them going at each other. But the yellow one, which I called Yellow Spider, it took a severe beating, even though that base, that cruciform base, is superb. I think I'm going to be developing that further as well. So yeah, I learned a lot. Let me know what you think, if it's moving on, and hopefully some of you will start building your own now, because like I say, I'm going to put up 2 quick tutorials, one on the sensor array and one on the stabilizers. It looks as if he's mad there, he's shaking with rage. He's got a hold of it, chucking it all over the place. Very, very animated this time. And by the way, I like those glass blocks. I think they're awesome. I really do like them. They're really nice for building with, and you can see inside them, and you can see all the gubbins and guts of the thing working away. So this was non-stop action. I mean, you've only seen a fraction of the stuff that I actually ended up recording. There was tons and tons of it, because that big guy just didn't stop. Eventually, as you can see now, I put the sensors down just below his axle, the big guy, and he's become very, very, very aware, and nothing gets anywhere near him, but he starts lashing out at it. So yeah, he's the real thing, the real McCoy. So the idea is to get something that can beat him next then, yeah, but with multiple wheelbases and with no vanilla. So that'll be my next target. But I've got a few other targets as well that I want to try and get. I want to make a bot that goes looking for its opponent rather than just waiting for the opponent to come into its sensor range. It'll cover, you know, it'll map out a certain area, and then when it finds something, it'll beat the hell out of it. So that's what I'm going for next, something even more aggressive, but a more hunter-killer type look. And there he is. Here's our boy. Very nice. It worked out very well. So there's a sort of semi tutorial up on him showing you how to put parts of him together. Okay, so like I said, this little guy, we called him box jellyfish because he's box shaped and you can see through him, and that's about it really. And you're going to see how he developed. I mean, I just made it up as I was going along. It was specifically for a tutorial, but then I thought I will add the third eye sensor on the front of it and make it an all sweeping sensor machine. And as you can see, they're all going like crazy there, looking for everything, and it picks you up on you, spins around, just using standard like tank steer, or what I call skid steer system. And but just a little bit jerky in places, but we'll go into that in a minute why it's doing that, because that really confuses me. But there you can see all its bearings through the blocks and everything. It's pretty cool. But it's really basic. It's just the controller, the glass blocks, and the bearings and the wheels, and you get this. So it's yeah, it's a very responsive machine altogether. Put some weapons on it and you've got a great machine. So okay, any second now we will start the tutorial on it, and we'll start it from scratch, and I'll show you how to put the side sensors on, the front sensor, and what to set the controllers at so that it continually sweeps. Right, so here we go. Now the first thing to know is that in order to have all those sensors sweeping constantly all the time, what you need is a permanently on switch. Now you can do that 2 ways. You can use a standard switch and then just switch it on, or you can have a downward facing sensor on the underside of the machine and then connect that to the controllers that control the sweeping sensors. If you get my drift, you'll see shortly anyway. And that means you've got constant motion. That's what makes them rock back and forward. And what you do is you set them to 180 degrees forward and 180 degrees back on either side, and that gives them a full sweep. And if there's a bit of a gap in the middle, you put in a negative value in the static one, like 15 or 30 minus, so that the controllers start from a closer in central point, so that nothing's missed. There's no blind spots in it. But anyway, what we do is we put on 3 sets of discs on each wheel. One set is for forwards. There's no backwards on this, just forwards. Only attack, no retreat. And then the other 2 sets, one is for left and one is for right. So it's really that simple. So you'll need a sensor for each of those sets of discs, and you'll need a controller for each one, and pretty much that's it. So I mean, it's really pared down here, and we really are just going to show you how to do the array. So that's it. I like to stick them out on wings, out to some distance out to the side, and that's when you'll need a sort of a negative value in the first entry in the control panel to point it back in the way a little bit so that there's nothing missed. But that's the way I like to do it. It just seems to be able to keep clear of any obstacles and see everything all the way around it. Yep, so that's them on, and then we'll have one controller which controls the actual disk which the sensor is sitting on. Now you just use the one controller to control both disks, but for symmetry I sometimes just do it like that, and sometimes you want to make a little adjustment to one and not the other. So I give them their own controllers just for now. Okay, now there's that sensor that I put on the underside, right? So I take that up and I connect it to the sensors, the controllers that are going to control the sensor bearings, and then I link them up, right? And then the actual sensors themselves go onto the controllers beside them, yeah, and then those controllers control the wheels, and that's it. It's as simple as that, really. It's just a nice simple loop. See, that goes over there, and then that controller will now have all of the turnings put in for a left or right turn, yeah. Also, what you make it do is, if it sees you, it turns you towards that sensor, because you're trying to get those sensors to make its front sensor see you. So you make sure that it moves away from you as soon as it picks you up on one side. Yeah. So there we have it. Really basic. It's really easy. Now, so I've just released them, and because of that sensor underneath is picking up the ground and it's activating their discs, they are doing. Oh, by the way, also you have it on loop and you have it on slow. You can mess about with yourself, but I discovered that was probably the best setting for it, to have it on slow, and it's a full 180 sweep back and forward. Now I put that sensor hard on the front here, but I changed my mind about that later, and like I said, I went for a sweeping sensor. So this box here is going to be the drive for the wheels. Now I got a little problem with that as well, because if you just put a forward degrees into a control box and don't loop it, what happens is the wheel moves and then resets itself back to its original position. And again, that's wondering if it really should do that, because if you're not putting in a negative value to return it, why should it do it for you? Yeah, you'll see in the air when I put it on, it jumps forward and then jumps back, and you've got to put it into a loop to stop it from doing that, which isn't always what I wanted to do, because I like it to be able to just jump forward and stop. I wonder if that's their mistake, or I'm just misinterpreting what it's capable of. Anyway, the other bearings are not linked up there, so you can see that it's just going to spin, but it's a good enough test anyway. There you go, spinning away. Those glass blocks are great, so useful. Okay, so that proves that one was connected right properly. So all you're really doing now is you're connecting each of those boxes on the side to the two remaining sets of bearings, and you want to make sure that they're going in opposite directions, the arrows for them, because you want the thing to turn. You don't want it to go straight forward or straight back. You want it to go turn left or turn right. So you adjust them accordingly so that it will do that. And then connect up the other pair and do the exact same thing. And then once you're ready, it should start picking you up and turning around. You may have to might take you a little while to tune it. See, and you'll notice as well. See, that's that jumping back all the time because I haven't got it on the loop. That's just hopeless. It really is. So you need to have them on the loop. I had them on 90. I put it at a 90 degree turn for the wheels in the end, and it behaved itself on the loop, as you can see, like that. And you'll also notice that when it sweeps round towards you and it's pushing you into the middle, it keeps pushing, but when it's going in the other direction, it seems to flip past you really quickly. Don't worry about that. That's just because the way it is. There we go. Get this one all lined up. And this one, in the end, I started it off using a common box, one that was using one of the others, but then I decided I want it to spin, I want it to flick back and forward faster than the side ones. because it's got a shorter phase. It's only 60 degrees. I thought we'll have it going quickly, it can cover that, and that'll keep it moving forward. So that first, let's say, first of all I put it onto one of the other ones. We changed out of this because it wasn't really acceptable. What you want to do in order to get it, because it's in a central position, it has to go to one side or the other for its first move. So you put it 30 degrees to the left, then 60 degrees to the right, and then 30 degrees to the left again, and that puts it into a cycle where it covers each side 30 degrees in total perfectly. Again, you'll see that it'll come up on one of the controllers. So this is getting, I think this is the one where it's getting its own box. Yeah, 30 there, and then 60 back, and then 30 forward, and that puts it into a perfect loop. So starts off with half a loop, then goes a full loop, and then goes half a loop again. So, and that's it. Hopefully all this is making sense. I'm not really very good at explaining things, I don't think, but the idea is to just get the machine reacting to its environment. And of course, height is all sorts of things that make a big difference. Like I said, the height of the sensors and the angle of them, and goodness knows what. And you can go on forever tweaking it and tweaking it. Different speeds, different variables, all sorts of stuff, and you get different results. Like so on the big glass one I showed you earlier, I put the two sensors for turning right down on its axle, very, very low, and I got a really wild results. It was moving about all over the place, but it made it more aggressive. So again, it depends what you want. As you can see here, the little guy's just this is his first time ever become sentient, and he just goes straight for the spider bot and knocks it over. Sturdy little machine, definitely going to be the next generation base. I start getting that weaponized, and I can make ones with big wheels or small wheels and make all sorts of different changes to them. So yeah, well pleased with that. Have fun. Let me know how you get on if you're building one. Alrighty, so next up we're going to do the big guy. Now, getting you have to put a dummy frame up first to get a big wheel onto something with the wheel bearing hitting the very bottom of one of these elongated blocks. They're brilliant for making unicycle things, so I'd recommend that you use them, because then it's just 2 blocks over the top and then another blue bar down one side, and you've got the basis for your machine. You can see this, it's really easy. Just clip one there, one there. Now, in order to get a blue bar to sit right on the end, you have to give it something to butt up against, which means putting something up on top briefly, so that it's got something to guide it in. As you can see, I'm faffing about here, not quite getting it. I'll get it in a second. And also, you nearly need to work with it on the lift as well, so you have to end up using cardboard boxes, fruit boxes or whatever, to lift yourself up to the height. So that's what you do there. You do that, and then you lift it up, and now you can get your downstand piece in there, and then you just delete the bit at the top, and you're away. That's it. There's all sorts of ways and styles to do them. It's a matter of your own personal preference. But I think that is nice and neat and compact and tight, and it's plenty big enough to build on. Now, because of these wheels are 2 blocks wide, right, and I've got a thing about symmetry, I end up putting a double set of suspension blocks in the middle, and then just one on either side. So we end up with 6 suspension blocks. I don't know if that's completely necessary, but I just thought I would do it just for the sake of the symmetry, just to keep the thing properly balanced. So there you go, you've got 2 central spars, which everything is going to press against, both forward, sideways and backwards. And you just put one of these blocks down at each corner of it. Right, and then you attach a block to the bearing itself. Then a suspension bar, block again. Again, I've just repeated it. It's excessive. It's a redundant thing that it probably doesn't need it, but I just wanted to go there. So that's the so that one sends it backwards. It stops it falling forwards. Yeah, and then this one does exactly the opposite. And each of them will have a sensor on its own side to activate it. And it's about, the other thing is what we'll get to in a minute is how much turn you put on the bearings on the controller. I start off with 2 degrees and then build it up from there. Initially when I was doing these things, I would start it off with a much higher value, like 30 degrees or something like that, and that was just taking too long to find out where the balance was. So I started with 2, and I go up in 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8 sort of thing, until I get to where it's reached a perfect balance, and that seems to work for me. So again, just put in the side ones, and hopefully you're following this. Maybe it's a bit close in. That's the best I could do. I mean, ask me in the comments if there's anything that's not quite clear. I can always have another crack at this, but there seemed to be an awful lot of tutorial to do today, so like I say, I'm not that great at them. It's a good idea to try and get some of your controllers far away from each other, because it gets really confusing. There's so many discs up against each other. So I put these fellas up on the outside, and then they become useful for hanging the sensors off, the ground sensors. They help to stabilise it and keep it upright. So as you'll see in a second, once I finally clip that on there, we've now got the two left and right ones up. Let's stop it from falling over to the left or to the right. Now you want to make sure the green arrows are pointing in. The green arrows on the circle discs are pointing in towards the centre, because that's the way you want it to go. Yeah, makes sense. And those last 2 controllers I've just put on there, they're for the forward and back ones, right? And basically there's not much more to it than this. You stick on the sensors around the edges, you give them like a 30-degree rake or cant out the way, so they're not directly pointing right down, because it's difficult for them to detect height changes at that. Well, they can, but it's easier if they're slightly outsloped. There we go. Connect these up. So that's 2 to the front, 2 to the back. Like I say, I think I just started it off at 2 degrees, but I ended up, that was a good bit more than that for these ones, because it's a big heavy machine. That's it. And of course I should have put it onto loop, I think. Maybe I didn't, but I really should have. It should be on loop. As far as I remember, it should be on loop. So that's that one. So there's not a lot to it. There really isn't. It's just all about. It's about getting everything over the central axis, all the bulk of the weight. I mean, you can. The thing is, I'm saying that, but I mean, you can stick a whole bunch of stuff out the back, and it won't tip over, because you just adjust your controllers, give it extra oomph, and you adjust your sensors so they're kicking in at slightly less or slightly more times. There's not really a lot else I can tell you now. Hopefully this has helped you. There's a couple of people asked me to do this in the last episode. Any questions, just put them into the comments and I'll do my best. Or if somebody else maybe pick up and give an even better answer. So that's it. This is about as far as I take this one. Not much further. Just because I forgot to film the very last bit with it standing up. You get the idea, because you've seen it in the earlier sequences anyway. There you go, put the sensors on, put them on discs, and you point them out 30 degrees outwards, forward, aft, and then both sides. And yeah, you can either put them on their own controller, or you can just borrow some control space from anyone at all, because it's just a static, it's not moving, it's not scanning, it's not doing anything. It's just 30 degrees pulled out. There we go, just picking that one up there, just dropping it on there. I think this one I ended up just using the one controller to control all 4 sensors, so they're all, safely together in the one group. It ended up being quite a monstrosity, this thing, but I actually quite liked the look of it. I thought it looked alright. It's quite a beast. I love those side flails that I put on it. Wow, they were really powerful, really good. Like I say, not much more to go now. Nearly there. So if you've made it through this far, obviously you are wanting to see the tutorial, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the whole thing, and catch you in the next one. Give me any recommendations, ideas, or what you think, because I picked up on everybody's ideas from the last episode, and I tried to incorporate them all, and they pretty much all worked out really well. So the same thing, let me know what you think should go on to these bots, how they should behave, what we should be doing with them, etc, etc, and we'll see how it goes from there. But until such times, this is me just putting on the last 4 and aft ones. Let's see, you didn't actually see it standing up, which was kind of the point of what the video should have been. But as long as you've followed these okay, then you should be fine. There won't be a problem. There you go. And see, it falls over slowly because it's on the 2 degrees. That's when it needed to go into loops, and it needed to get bumped up to about 8 or 12, whatever it was. Catch you later. Bye.